Good morning.
Good morning and happy Monday to everyone. Welcome to Rural Community Solutions, where we help you design family-friendly, youth-centered places that thrive. You want to bring people to live in your community, or do you? We want to help you do that if that is your goal. So my name's Kim Spillers.
And I'm Frank Spillers. And if you are trying to gain population, if you're trying to build an economy in your community, whether you're a community leader or just a small business owner or a entrepreneur that wants to be a business owner, then this is for you, because we help create those environments that help people grow and help your community grow. And so this week, what we're going to be doing is taking the last couple of weeks, and if you've been with us, you have followed us on our 4 pillars, what we do. And it's basic. Our 4 pillars, it's just basic.
Common sense.
Common sense. I mean, it really
how
is.
you grow a town.
Of how people want to be treated on there. And so this week, we're going to take those pillars and we're going to dissect them one by one, which is relationships, engagement, entrepreneurship, or entrepreneurs, and collaboration or appreciation. And we're going to dissect those into what do they really mean. Because if you don't walk your talk, and so if you're a community that has a slogan, you have a mission statement, you have a vision statement or whatever, but you're not living up to that, then this is for you, because it's building trust. You need a foundation of trust.
The reason, well, there's a lot of reasons this is important to you, but recently we have a real good friend who left a community and moved to a different state and has returned to that community to finish up some details of their move. And what she said is that she senses the lack of an energy in her former community. And so people pick up on the vibe, they pick up on the attitude, they pick up on the energy. And so we want, if those are some things like Frank mentioned, our population and your youth are leaving and things like that, if that's happening in your area, then you'll want to really pay attention this week.
So we're taking today, we're going to be taking relationships. That's our first pillar, relationships. We call it the green zone, but in our relationship zone, we have different colors. They're color coded.
Hey, and I'm in green today. So.
And green is not for envy. Green is not for jealousy. Green is for building relationships. And when we say building relationships, it's, do you feel welcome? Do you create an atmosphere where people feel welcome? And to feel welcome, people need to have that warm reception given to them. I mean, if you think of a great friend, think of your spouse, think of your significant other. Do you warm welcome them? Do you really embrace? You're happy to see them. You're happy to be with them. You're happy they're there. And then follow through with everything, because I'm going to go back here just a little bit on this. And we take Maslow's hierarchy of needs and you dissect them, because this is really basic psychology, if you will. If you think back to even high school psychology that you sat in class, this is exactly what people need. And so when you know this, you can build upon a foundation and build a environment to where people feel, one, today, welcome, okay? Because on your physiological needs, you're looking at, can they breathe, all right? Air, is there good air in your community? How about food and water? Do people have enough food? And we're looking at today in the COVID era, if you will, people aren't finding enough food. So there's an insecurity there. Now, on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, each level builds upon another level. You cannot go up the staircase. You cannot jump up a level until one level, that first level, is met. So if your physical needs are not met, you can't move up to safety. If your safety needs are not met, you can't move up to love and belonging. And that's where we want our communities to feel, because then you get confidence and people become what they can become. And so when we look at a community building that hierarchy of needs, you start with your relationships. How are your relationships going? Do people feel that there's a warm reception there? Do people feel that they belong? Do people feel that there is a great relationship that is being built? And let me tell you, if you're looking for an entrepreneurial economy, entrepreneurs need this basic pillar. They need to know that they are wanted, they belong, and they are building a relationship with the community that they live in. Whether they do business in that community or not, they live there and they work there. Their economy might not come from there, and their business might not come from that community, but they live there and they play there, and they might be raising their family there.
And that's one reason. We're going to talk about a number of things of why this is important to a community. But in the example Frank just gave, that perhaps what we're finding more and more is that people are choosing where they live, where they want to be, and they bring their business with them. We're going to talk a lot about home-based businesses. We've been talking about this for a good 12 years now, and that this is a continuing trend in the future. And so what your community needs to be well aware of is that even if people have a global, we know of a family who has a global business, a lot of their business doesn't come from the community they've chosen to live in. They like the community, they like the workplace of worship. They like the people there, but their business comes from all around the world. This is what communities are looking at. We're changing much more from an economy that is based in the brick and mortar of a main street to a global economy. And COVID has definitely brought that to the forefront. So this is an exciting time. This is why here at Rural Community Solutions, we talk about how you need to be prepared. We need to emerge from this in a whole new, wonderful place. And that's going to take some change and transition, and relationships are at the core of that. And
so when you look at our relationship pillar here, okay, let's go through this. Warm reception, follow through. I've already gone through that. But here's acceptance. Do you accept everybody? Do you accept who lives in your community? No matter, so to speak, what side of the tracks they're on, no matter what their last name is, no matter who's buried in your community, no matter whose grandfather founded the community or family founded the community, or religious preference, or if they just moved in. Mm-hmm. Do you accept them? Here's what I have observed. That say a new business moves in, or somebody opens a new business, all right, then the town gets together, the Chamber of Commerce gets together, they throw out the ribbon, they cut that ribbon, and everybody is really, really happy for about the first month. And then people forget about it, and then it goes back to the newness is wearing off, and then they start treating people like normal, okay? And you just get that comfortable feeling. Or a new person moves into the community and you take them cookies, you're happy they're there, you have the celebration, yes, we got a new person in there, and then they start bringing up these new ideas. Then the new ideas don't fit with your ideas because they're not from there, and you all of a sudden turn to them and say, oh, you're not from here, are you? We've tried that before, or that will never work here. That might have worked where you live, but that'll never work here. And so the words that you use are like a promise. And the words that you use of you are going to be doing something is like a promise. And then when the words aren't followed through on, then there is an element of mistrust in there, and trust is the basis of that. Because if you look at what is on Maslow's, you have that food, water, housing, all that basic individual type of needs that people need to feel, that people need to have those physiological needs met. They can move up to safety, and that safety then is body employment. They need an income. They need an economy to do. They need the family. They need the health. They need the property of that. So they need that protection that they have. So if their physiological needs are met and they feel safe, then they feel like they need to feel like they love and belong. And so they need to belong to a new place. If you are looking at people moving into your community, you really need to look at this type of an approach of, are you building that relationship? Do people feel like the red carpet has been laid out for them? Always, not just within that first month, not just within that first week, not just within they just showed up at your church, but really, do they feel like they belong there? Do you have a relationship with them that you can build? Now, it doesn't have to be a loving relationship. It doesn't have to be a friend relationship to where you can't get along without each other, that you can't, live without each other, that you're going to be friends with them. But the other person has to feel like in that environment that could happen. That is building towards that. All of a sudden, they can't hit that wall that says, oh, the newness has worn off. You're not from here. So we're just going to ignore you. We're not going to take care of you. And we're not going to create that environment anymore. And that happens more often than not that you think.
So if you are in a coffee group, we're getting a little bit more able to get together in small groups. And so if you're getting together, maybe in your place of business, you have a workspace where you get together and talk, or you have a book club, or you have a group to which you belong. These are some things that we encourage you to think about. This is a great exercise for people to do. If you sit on a board, if you sit on a chamber, there are places where natural leadership by position or employment, these are things that you do talk about. We're encouraging the entire community to be thinking about these things, to be observing when maybe you're out for coffee or maybe you're out for dinner. How are people treated at the next table or across the room? What is it that you're hearing for how they're talked to, how they're described? Just listen for that. Because the people who live there and the people who may consider your town for living there are hearing the same kinds of things. And if you want to grow, we encourage you to take this relationship pillar and some of these tenets very, very seriously, so that they become part of your habit, become part of your culture. Here at Rural Community Solutions, we're all about culture, so that people feel like they belong and are accepted, have a voice, and can contribute to your community.
So even yourself, do you have a great relationship with yourself? Do you give yourself a warm reception? Do you follow through on the words that you use for yourself? Do you feel like you roll out the red carpet for yourself? And so this is individual as well as out there, because nothing happens out there unless it happens in here. So you really have to practice this and become part of this culture itself, and have this become part of your personality. Also, take your school system. If this happens within your classroom, is it happen within your school system? Because the youth will respond to these pillars as much as the community will. And that's where it really starts, is with the youth also, because they will build up, they will get this habit of how to treat people, of how they were treated, and then they will pass that on as a cultural activity. And that's how that starts.
I was just going to say, we're going to talk about the cost and why this matters to your community all week long. Almost every episode, we talk about this related to youth. What they learn about your community is what they're going to remember about your community. And that's going to be really important to you. when they get to high school graduation, whether or not they choose to either stay and become part of your workforce, go to a community college, or whether or not they do go off and they have some life experiences for college or 5 or 10 years or something like that. But then they want to come back to your community. The experiences that they have now, the relationships that they have within that community are going to matter to you long term as your community passes from generation to generation.
And so remember, you're giving people experiences.
Mhm.
And what do you do with experiences? Do you remember them? Do you remember how you feel through that experience and how that experience helped you have that feeling? That's exactly what your youth are doing. And that's what new people are doing when they're moving into town. So look at your mission statement. Look at your town slogan. Is your town living its slogan? Because there are some communities out there that we will challenge them by saying, do people feel welcome in your community? They will say yes. And then we'll say, do you have more people that were born and raised here living in your community than you do new people? Because if you have more people that were born and raised in your state, in your community, in your church, maybe in your organizations, maybe you're not as welcoming as you thought because you're not attracting new people. So think about that and think about these 4 pillars as we go through the week. So today was relationship. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about listening. Do you actively listen or do you just wait to talk? Because people need to be heard. You need to understand where they are. And so we're going to be talking about engagement tomorrow. So come on back tomorrow and we'll continue our conversation and work on up to that love and belonging section of Maslow's, because that's really, really the place where your community can thrive and prosper, because the bottom 2 tiers of the physiological needs and the safety needs are being worked on all the time by every economic development organization that you have in your community, every chamber of commerce. They're working on those types of issues. But the love and belonging, that's everybody.
For those of you who are listening on the podcast, this week we're going to be showing on graphics every single day. So you may want to just jump onto our YouTube or Facebook page at Rural Community Solutions. We thank you for listening to the podcast. For those of you who haven't yet, it's called, you can find it at anchor.fm/Frank Spillers. Think like an entrepreneur, become a spark plug. So tomorrow we'll continue this week our Are You Walking Your Talk series on our 4 pillars: relationship, engagement, collaboration, and entrepreneurship each day. And so we look forward to having you join us at 11:30 Central Daylight Time at Rural Community Solutions. And so for now, we have a few snowflakes falling, actually. Yeah, so here in April, this is
not a happy thing.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. It's spring in Iowa. And so wherever you are, we hope that you are warm and safe and have a wonderful week. Thanks for joining us at Rural Community Solutions TV from Kim Spillers
and Frank Spillers. So if you can talk the talk and walk the walk, you need to walk your talk. So we will see you tomorrow. Have a great day.
Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.